If you have ever been awake at 2:41 a.m. staring at the ceiling thinking, why am I still awake? I bought a mattress. I followed the rules. I deserve sleep. Then at some point, someone, maybe a friend, maybe TikTok, maybe a podcast host, whispering into a very expensive microphone said, have you tried magnesium glycinate? Because apparently magnesium glycinate can fix your sleep, your anxiety, your stress levels, your burnout, and possibly your entire nervous system. It gets presented like the mineral equivalent of a weighted blanket for your brain. So today, we are asking the real question, is magnesium glycinate actually helpful for sleep and anxiety, or is it just a placebo pillow with good marketing? Stick around, because near the end, I am going to give you a structured 7-night approach you can actually use to see whether magnesium is helping your sleep in a meaningful way. This is not about belief or hype. It's about sense versus nonsense. I'm Marcus, the wellness watchdog, and this is Health Sense or Nonsense. This video is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. I cannot account for your individual health history, so nothing here is a personal recommendation. Magnesium glycinate is having a moment and not for just random reasons. Sleep problems are everywhere, from insomnia to feeling tired but wired to stress-related sleep issues. For a lot of people, sleep is not just about rest anymore. It affects mood, focus, patience, pain tolerance, immune function, and how functional you feel the next day. When sleep is bad, everything feels harder. Magnesium has biological plausibility. It is involved in nerve signaling, muscle function, and hundreds of enzymatic reactions in the body. That makes people think, okay, this can matter. And to be fair, that intuition is not entirely unreasonable. Magnesium glycinate is marketed as a gentle form. It is often described as less likely to upset your stomach than some other magnesium supplements that double as a surprise cleanse. But plausible does not mean proven. So let's separate what magnesium can realistically do from what the internet wants it to do. There is no supplement that works for everyone. If there were, sleep clinics would be empty and melatonin would be out of business. Studies on magnesium and sleep show mixed and modest effects, and not in every population. That alone should lower expectation. Anxiety does not automatically mean magnesium deficiency. Anxiety is complex. It can involve stress, sleep loss, genetics, trauma, caffeine, medications, and medical conditions. Magnesium is one small piece of a very big puzzle. It is not a universal explanation for feeling wired or anxious. More magnesium does not equal more calm. At higher doses, magnesium causes gastrointestinal side effects, not enlightenment. So, magnesium is not magic, but that does not mean it's useless. The real question is, who might actually help and how to tell? Many people do not get enough magnesium from food alone. Correcting low intake supports normal body function and might help with muscle tension, restlessness, or sleep disruption in some people. This is very different from optimization. If your intake is already adequate, taking more magnesium does not reliably improve sleep or anxiety. The evidence for optimization is weak and inconsistent. There's a big difference between I was low and now I'm normal, and I was normal and now I expect superhuman calm. Most supplements fail at step 2. Magnesium is no exception. In small, randomized trials, mostly in older adults with insomnia, magnesium supplementation has been shown to modestly improve some sleep measures compared with placebo. These include time to fall asleep and overall sleep efficiency. That is not nothing, but it is also not dramatic. It is not the kind of effect that override major sleep disruptors. Systematic reviews consistently conclude that the evidence is mixed. The studies are small, varied, and use different doses and forms. When benefits appear, they tend to be modest. This is not a knockout supplement. In plain English, magnesium may help some people fall asleep a little easier. It does not override sleep apnea, chronic anxiety, depression, late-day caffeine, or heavy screen use at night. If you are drinking cold brew at 4 in the afternoon and watching true crime at midnight, magnesium is trying its best, but it is outnumbered. Context matters more than people want to admit. If this video is helping you separate health sense from nonsense, take a second to like the video and subscribe. It helps this channel reach more people who want evidence instead of just plain old marketing hype. Now we get to the part most magnesium videos skip. This is where we remove nonsense instead of adding to all of the hype. People take magnesium because they want better sleep. Helping sleep is the goal. Full stop. But here's where magnesium becomes more useful than people realize. Even when it helps, the way it helps can tell you something more important about what kind of sleep problem you are dealing with. If magnesium makes it easier to fall asleep or reduces physical restlessness at night, that suggests your sleep issue may have a body tension or stress physiology component. In other words, your nervous system might be running a little hot at bedtime. In that situation, magnesium is doing what it is biologically capable of doing. It is supporting normal nerve and muscle function in a system that is slightly undersupported. That does not mean magnesium fixed everything. It means calming the body helped enough to notice. That insight matters because it points you toward what else is likely to help. Stress load, wind down routines, light exposure timing, and relaxation strategies suddenly make more sense. Now let's talk about the other outcome that gets ignored. If magnesium does not help at all, after a consistent week, that is still useful information. That result suggests your sleep problem is probably not being driven by magnesium responsive physiology. It points away from supplements and toward other explanations. Those explanations often include circadian rhythm disruption, untreated sleep disorders, chronic anxiety patterns, depression, pain, or inconsistent sleep schedule. In that situation, adding more supplements usually just adds more noise. This is where a lot of people get stuck in nonsense. They assume the supplement fails, so they immediately try a different one. What they should be doing instead is changing strategies. A non-response is not a dead end. It is a direction. There is also a third outcome that matters. If magnesium makes sleep worse, causes morning grogginess, vivid dreams, or stomach issues, that is a clear stop signal. When that happens, continuing just in case is not disciplined or scientific. It's just wishful thinking. Before we get into the 7-night structure, there is one reality check most people skip. That is diet. Magnesium does not exist in isolation from food. If your diet is extremely low in magnesium-containing foods, supplementation is doing cleanup duty, not optimization. A simple check is to ask whether your week includes foods like nuts, seeds, legumes, leafy greens, or whole grains at all. This is not about tracking milligrams, it's about noticing patterns. If magnesium only helps when taking it as a supplement and disappears the moment you stop, that suggests intake was part of the issue. That does not mean supplements are bad, it just means food still matters. Another overlooked factor is timing logic. This is not about exact doses, it's about consistency and context. Magnesium tends to work best when it is paired with a wind down period rather than dropped into chaos. Taking it right before scrolling, emails, or stressful conversations belong to whatever benefit it might have had. That does not mean magnesium needs a perfect routine. It means it works better when you give it a fighting chance. Let's make this practical. Here's a structured 7-night approach that keeps things conservative and also useful. Pick one dose and one timing and keep them the same for all 7 nights. Do not adjust midweek based on a good or bad night. Many people take magnesium 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Whatever timing you choose, consistency matters more than precision. Do not stack new supplements during this week. If you add magnesium, do not add melatonin, glycine, herbs, or teas at the same time. If something improves, you want to know what actually caused it. One variable at a time matters. Each morning, track 3 simple things. This should take less than 1 minute. Estimate how long it took you to fall asleep. Count how many times you remember waking up. How you feel in the morning on a scale from 0 to 10. 0 means exhausted, and 10 means refreshed. Control the biggest confounders as best you can. Keep caffeine timing consistent and avoid pushing it later in the day. Keep alcohol either out of the picture or consistent. Try to keep bedtime and wake time within the same window. Reduce screen brightness in the last 30 minutes before bedtime, if possible. You do not need perfect sleep hygiene, just consistency. Do not overinterpret the first night or two. Some people notice sleep placebo effects early. Others notice nothing at all. This is why you are doing 7 nights instead of 1. Patterns matter more than single nights. At the end of the week, look at the pattern honestly. Did it take less time to fall asleep on average? Did awakenings decrease? Did mornings feel more stable instead of random? If the answer is yes, in a meaningful way, magnesium may be a useful support tool for you. If the answer is no, stop spending money and move on. That is still a win. You learned something instead of guessing. One last practical thing most people miss is the difference between falling asleep faster and sleeping better overall. Magnesium tends to affect sleep onset more than total sleep time, and those are not the same problem. If your main issue is lying awake with a restless body, magnesium has a better chance of being relevant. If your issue is frequent awakenings, early morning waking, or feeling unrefreshed despite enough hours in bed, magnesium is less likely to be the main lever. That distinction matters because it prevents misattribution. People often say a supplement failed when it was never aimed at the dominant problem in the first place. This is another reason not to stack fixes. When you match the tool to the problem, your results are clearer and frustration drops dramatically. Here is one final filter that prevents a lot of self-deception. Ask whether the benefit held on nights when nothing else changed. If magnesium only worked one night where you also went to bed earlier, drank less caffeine, or felt less stressed, the supplement may not be the main driver. That does not make it useless, but it keeps expectations realistic. If the benefit showed up across boring, normal nights, that is more convincing. That pattern is what makes a small effect worth keeping. If sleep problems or anxiety are persistent, worsening, or affecting your daily life, talk to a health professional regardless of what your 7-night experiment shows. Self-experiments are not a substitute for care. This video is not medical advice. Always talk to a qualified professional about your situation. Bottom line, magnesium glycinate is not a miracle. For some people, it is a reasonable, low-risk way to support sleep with realistic expectations. If this helped you separate health sense from nonsense, like the video and subscribe. It helps this channel reach people who want science and not just marketing hype. Stay curious, ask the right questions. I'm Marcus, the Wellness Watchdog, and this has been Health Sense or Nonsense, and I'll see you in the next one.